What's going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Thursday, June 29th, believe it or not. And as you know, on Thursdays, we do Throwback Thursday. It's me and Anthony, just the two of us, riding shotgun. Anthony Ricciardi, head of opinions. How are you on this Thursday, my friend? It's been far too long.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a full week since we've done the show, but it's been a while since we've talked too.
Since we've done a two-man show is what I meant even more. Like, just on a Thursday, it's classic Throwback Thursday episode today.
And if you're doing a throwback, throwing Mankind off the Hell in the Cell seems like a good throwback.
We're not even gonna be throwing it back. We're gonna be throwing Mick Foley off the top of a tall structure through a table. By God, he's broken in half.
That's it. He's dead.
By God, he killed him. I can't wait to get to it. But before that, let's jump right into Dynamite, man.
Yep.
What did you think of Dynamite as a whole last night? Let's start there. Why not?
I don't think it was necessarily a strong Dynamite. Coming off of a pay-per-view that was, had some highlight moments. It was all right. I don't necessarily think it was one of the strongest ones they've done. I don't think it was bad either. I mean, obviously we're going to get into it each match, but it started out strong as far as the opening match and all.
See, I hear where you're coming from. I think though, given the scenario coming out of a pay-per-view like Forbidden Door, where a lot of the storylines were built, interpromotional.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, while we had Ishii on the card, half those storylines kind of go away. And for starting new ones,
yes,
I thought they did a solid job last night. We're going to obviously get into it. And let's start with the one clear New Japan roster member that performed last night, Tomohiro Ishii versus Jon Moxley. We saw Eddie Kingston insert himself into this match. Let me get your thoughts on this one. How did you like the finish? Because after Eddie involved himself, I didn't expect the finish to be that clean. Did you?
I mean, that's the thing. I've always liked Ishii. I don't know what it is about him. I've always kind of liked the quote unquote Stone Pitbull of the whole thing. I'm not sure where they're going with the Eddie thing. My only issue with it is, I get Eddie's ties to Moxley and his quote unquote, whether it's real kayfabe heat with Claudio. I don't fully understand why now he has a problem with Moxley being friends with Claudio. The Combat Club's been together for quite a while. So I don't fully understand why now he's really bothered by it. So I'm just not sure where they're going with that. I'm just not sure.
So I hear where you're coming from. Let's talk more about the backstage segment. I thought that was more impactful than necessarily this match was.
Yeah.
I thought it was fascinating that Renee Paquette asked Eddie, or not asked Eddie, told Eddie, it's your job to fix this, not her own husband. Right. And that's on tape. If John sees that, that's going to be an interesting thing follow-up wise. Now, this is what I find the most fascinating about it. I'm not sure it's entirely to do with Claudio. Mm-hmm. I think this is Eddie being John's moral compass. He's going, dude, you really want to be a part of this? You really want to act like this? Like, obviously, I've got the problem with Claudio, but this is the crew. It's like when you see an old friend that you haven't seen in years and you meet their new friends and you're like, I still like my old friend, but I don't like their new friends.
Yeah. Wrong crowd.
It happens. Yeah. You're like, this is who you hang out with.
The thing I did like the realism with Renee being involved. Obviously.
I thought it was outstanding when she stepped between them and put her hand on, interestingly, Kingston.
The one thing that I thought hurt some of its believability is the fact that Claudio's there and so is Yuta. And they're getting the insults thrown at them and they're not saying anything.
Right.
That to me hurt some of the believability. If that segment took place without those two there and it was just Moxley and Renee and Kingston steps up, that I think is a believable moment. The fact that the other two were there and not saying anything hurt it a little bit, in my opinion, because why wouldn't Claudio be speaking up for himself?
I agree. I completely agree with you, other than it's funny because at the time, and so I say I agree with you. I see that, but in the moment, I felt like, oh man, this is setting up perfectly for Yuta and Claudio exacting redemption on their own and not consulting Moxley. And there's a crack in the foundation there, just a small one. Moxley goes, guys, why'd you have to do that? Well, he said this about us last week.
Well,
and we kept our mouths shut because we expected you to stick up for us. And then when you did, your wife stepped in. Yeah. And now we get drama maybe between Jon and Renee. We get drama storyline.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no, I get you.
And then between Kingston and Renee, maybe even Kingston and Moxley. And then you have the Claudio factor. And there's just a lot of...
There's a way to fix what they did, but if they don't follow up with it like you're suggesting,
right,
then it's
a dead.
Weird.
I agree.
That's what I mean.
I totally agree. If they do not do the follow up, then I am 100% in agreement. Let's move on though. We had the Elite versus the Dark Order, which is odd with Hangman on the other side of the Dark Order. I loved the fans doing the Dark Order thing and everything. This match was what it was. Did you have any excessive thoughts on it?
I mean, it was what it was. The only thing is, now, Hangman never officially would join with the group. He's with his with his quote unquote, he made up with his real friends. So now his backup friends aren't as important. I did find it interesting, why they're filtering them in while the Elite is feuding with Combat Club, but Dark Order didn't get involved. I don't know where exactly you go with that, because Hangman would be hurt, but the Dark Order is not going to join the Elite. And the Combat Club's not going to welcome the Dark Order in. They're a joke stable. They're like the oddities, back in the 90s with WWF. I don't really know where you go with this. The Dark Order is not what it was when it was first introduced as really a dark stable. They're a comedy act. I don't know where you go with it. And you and I were talking about before the show, the Dark Side episode with Doink. They're like Dark Doink. They're like an evil Doink. It's essentially is what the Dark Order is now. But I don't know where you go with them. Personally, I think you put them on Ring of Honor. I don't know why they bring them out. It's almost like they have a vacancy and going, we need somebody from catering. Oh, the Dark Order sitting over there. That's what it feels like sometimes with these acts. That's what they do with Nyla Rose, with Dark Order. It's like, all right, we got an empty space. All right, get somebody from catering. That's what it seems like. That's the hard part.
Yeah, it is a shame, because I do think that there's some juice with the Dark Order, but not much, just because the fans love them.
Yes.
But yeah, this match was about the Elite, and let's go to the next segment, which is Blood and Guts and the announcement.
Yes.
What do you feel about this, and how involved are the Elite in this?
My only problem with all the Blood and Guts matches, and I've said this before, I think in different pieces. I don't know if I've ever said it on air. I know I've said it off air to somebody, maybe you. I don't remember. But my feeling with the Blood and Guts matches, I love them. They're War Games matches. I love War Games matches. My only problem with them, every time they've shown them with commercial breaks. To me, a match like this either needs to be on pay-per-view, so uncut, or make some agreement with Turner to air that match without commercials.
Yeah.
Because to me, it takes you out of the match. Especially when they did the first one. It was constant where it's like the announcer would have to go, oh, well, this guy entered the ring now. That's how he got busted open. You shouldn't have to do that for a match of this caliber. I very much want the Elite and the Combat Club. You and I have talked about this. That's where this was always headed. We always knew this is where it was headed. And it's going to be a brutal and violent match, which is what it needs to be. I just want to see it without commercials interrupting the flow of the match as an audience member. Now, I know international people watch it on Fight, so they don't get the commercials. But for us people in the States, we got to deal with Domino's or, Geico or whoever else is advertising at that given point.
Pizza Hut, Papa John's. I've seen enough
exactly.
pizza quesadillas this year in wrestling. I'm with you on that 100% as far as the commercial free, as far like as far as blood and guts is concerned.
Yes.
Now, the Eddie Kingston situation is interesting here too. Not to harken back to Eddie, but he is in the G1. We know that.
Yeah.
I would love to see Eddie be busy. He's not going to join the Elite anyway.
No.
Ibushi.
Well, Ibushi is the one that I think
on the
all
Elite
kind
side.
Of fantasy booked into this. And by the way, one small thing, and I don't mean to cut you off. Could we get a firm answer? Is Callis and Takashita Combat Club, or are they just friends by association? Could somebody make a decision on this one way or another?
I don't know. I'm confused too. And with Brian's injury.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. Takeshita would make perfect sense as a fill-in.
Yes.
Along the way for Blood and Guts. It would make absolutely perfect sense. Now, Ibushi makes perfect sense as well. Would love to see Ibushi. What I would love to see, though, is some sneaky travel arrangements, and you keep Eddie in this storyline, because that's what everyone's saying is, it sucks that they're building all this stuff with Eddie and Moxley, but there's gonna be that break. And if we can just have some sneaky flying arrangements and get Eddie to and from, they can tell a great story here and somehow insert him into this storyline as well.
Yeah.
Bridge the two together. I love that creatively.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, because I would assume before Brian got injured, the plan was 5-on-5.
Right.
Obviously, you're eliminating somebody from this now on both sides.
Still go 5-on-5.
Well, if you're just going Elite and Combat Club, it would have to be 4-on-4. You'd have to add an additional person on both sides at that point, right?
Wouldn't you go? So it'd be for the Combat Club, it would be Yuta, Claudio, Moxley, and then, gosh, I guess they do only have.
Yeah, they would need 2.
They need Takeshita and then
and plus 1.
The
more. Elite would need at least Eddie.
Maybe Zack Sabre.
If they're throwing Eddie in this, then they're fine. But technically, the Combat Club would need an additional 1 to make it 10.
Right.
Because even with Takeshita,
I don't even think Eddie. I think you do it with Kenny and Ibushi, and then you. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you want to add in the whole Eddie Moxley thing, it would make sense. But I don't know who else you get for the Combat Club, unless do they do Don?
Right, which would be hilarious.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, Don is technically a trained. He did train to wrestle. I mean, I don't think he's wrestled a match in decades, but still.
It'd be comedy.
Well,
could you imagine?
Well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, WCW did this in a War Games match. Colonel Parker was in it in a full white suit.
That's right.
And the famous story is the fact that he crapped himself in the white suit and it was visible during the War Games match.
Oh my. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different routes that they can go here. But I think the key is they got to get Ibushi for this one. They really do. I think it's important that they do.
I really kind of thought that's the direction they were going to go into when Kenny wasn't on one of the shows and they went, he's not in Canada, which you presume, you could have went, he was in Japan getting Ibushi, but then they didn't go that way. Right. So I'm not sure where they're going with this.
It is interesting, and we'll definitely find out. But let's move on to the next one, though. Don't you think?
There is one thing, one potential person they could throw in here. I don't think they would do it because I think they're going to go for all in with Kenny and Ospreay. Ospreay's a possibility.
Oh, it'd be wild. That'd be interesting.
I don't know if he would want to do that match, but I'm just saying.
And he's English. Blackpool makes more sense. There's no more UK guys in that stable. So, or how about Zack Sabre Jr.? Would be interesting as well.
I don't think he's got the style for that.
I think Ospreay Combat Club.
I think Ospreay can get hardcore. I don't think Sabre.
No, I think Sabre fits the Combat Club as well as anybody with the viciousness on the limb.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if he's willing to take the hardcore spot.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
To your point. But let's get into the Jungle Boy promo,
Oh,
which
yeah,
I
yeah,
found fascinating on this one.
Mhm.
I really, really enjoyed everything except one thing, and that was I really didn't think he had to call Anna Jay the B word, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like a huge deal. It landed for what it was.
Yeah.
But it was just like, okay, we get it, you're a heel now, but he's kind of more of a slimy heel than like that
Yeah.
aggressive, like I'm too cool for school heel.
hmm
It feels like now, right? Like he's just his morals are being tested. I loved Hook running him down and then running him out of the arena. And my
Yeah.
favorite was Taz doing the let's get a camera backstage.
Yeah.
Oh, it was my favorite part of the segment. It was awesome. Anthony, what were your thoughts?
I had two thoughts with it. One, it's a little awkward that we had literally just watched Christian betray Jungle Boy and pretty much dressed the same exact way Jungle Boy did.
Right.
And cut the same similar-ish promo of slimy, the other thought I had, and apparently the internet apparently had the same thought I did. I felt he looked a lot like Hyde from that 70s show. He had Danny Masterson vibes to him, which if that was intentional, considering Danny Masterson just got found guilty of rape, I don't know whether or not that was intentional for heel heat. But that was the visual. I'm going, okay. He kind of looks a little like Hyde and starting to sound a little bit like Christian. I think it does make sense. I think he played a good cowardly heel. I enjoyed the fact where I think it was Shivani said something. He better be diving in that car, and he did. The visual of him diving into the car. I mean, luckily, I don't think it was pre-taped. But if he would have pulled a Titus and somehow didn't land exactly the way he was supposed to, that could have ended badly. The one thing I didn't get when he was running away, when he was throwing down the trash cans, and I'm going, what are you blocking? It's wide open area. It wasn't like, it was like,
It's
you're
like,
not in a hallway.
You're not like leaving obstacles.
Yes. It was just weird where it was like, you do realize you're in an entire parking structure. You're not in a hallway where you're causing a potential obstacle to prevent him from getting it to you.
Yeah.
It wasn't that hard. So I think he could have got away without throwing down the trash cans. And the announcer's trying to cover it up, going, oh, he's trying to block. Come on. Could we just maybe ignore that, not try to cover it up, because there's no covering that up. I'm curious to see where they go with this. The other aspect to this is, well, now he's a heel. Does he reconnect with Christian and Luchasaurus, who are also heels now? Does he end up back with them as heels?
Oh, that is weird. I kind of hope not. I think they need to be separate.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Now, I actually think that the long-term story would be, I think we give him one or two heel storylines, rivalries, whatever you'd like to call them. My favorite part of the promo was him talking about that's the last time you'll ever hear that stupid song.
That I liked, and it makes sense. It's a lovable song, so it makes sense that he
so lovable.
The one thing
I would love to see Luchasaurus be the moral compass down the road next year when it's time.
All of a sudden,
and and be like, no, I'm done with Christian, and then reunite with Jungle Boy and have another tag run.
Awesome. To me, that would make sense. The one thing I don't think the promo fully nailed, I understood where he was going with it, but I think it was like clumsy where it's going. It's not an official title. Like, I know where he was going. It's not an official title, but I know it means something to you, so that's why I want to take it.
I actually kind of like that from a heel perspective. It was I don't care about it, but you do.
No, I like that, but the beginning of it, he's going, yeah, you're holding your title over me, bragging about your title. Like, and then it's like, well, it doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I think he could have just went and said, hey, that title doesn't mean anything to this organization. It's not even officially recognized, but I know it means something to you and your father up there. I'm going to take it just to screw with you. Like, to me, that's a cleaner promo than going, you brag about this, you're bragging about a title. It's not sanctioned. I don't care, but I do care. There was a cleaner way to say it. That was my opinion of it.
Yeah, I understand that. I still think I like the idea of I don't care about it, but I know that you do.
Oh no, and I'm fine with it.
And what
There
I
was a
would
cleaner
love
way
to
to say
see
it.
is there's a good way if they pull this off properly almost. I wouldn't even want to see Jungle Boy necessarily beat Hook clean for the title. I want to see him steal it and then destroy the belt.
Oh,
Trash it.
he has to. I think that's the
Some
cleanest
like
way.
really mess with it. Like really, this is stupid. This is a prop. This is a waste.
This is very much. We've seen this happen before. We've seen belts destroyed with sledgehammers. We've seen
Wow.
belts.
I mean, my favorite, honestly, was the Brody Lee in a million pieces with Cody's TNT title. That was as good as, honestly, because the way it looked like it was like cut up. It was so cool when it was just the pieces laid out across the stage. That was genius. I'm not saying do the same thing because that we've seen it.
I think I know what they should do. I don't know what the next time they're going to be in New York. I don't know the next time they're going to be in New York.
If you say trash can fire, I'm going to die.
No.
I was going to say.
No. He takes the belt and he's got to throw it in maybe some type of river.
Hudson?
The Hudson in New York.
I'd love that. I was going to say, how about in Brooklyn?
He could burn it. He could burn it.
What I'm saying is like a trash can fire. So it's like the double whammy. You know, like when you get like that real bad area and it's like there's fire in a trash can.
Yes.
And he throws it in the trash can.
I think a trash can or a dumpster. Now the trash can would remind me of Rhino did it back in TNA when WWE was relaunching ECW. I know we did Throwback last week, but Rhino was not a part of the relaunch. Right. He was in TNA at the time. And he didn't show the belt, but he had the belt in a bag, allegedly had the belt, and goes, I was the last real ECW world champion. This is the belt. And he threw it in a thing for fire. Now, granted, I don't know what the logic was really because there's no crossover, but visually.
Probably just to make Rhino happy.
Well, I think it was kind of a shot across the bow. That's what it was. Yeah. But they could do that with Hook and right. Jungle Boy. And I think that would get him heat, but I think he has to do it probably in New York. If he's destroying the belt.
I agree.
I think it has to be in New York.
Okay, let's move along then from Jungle Boy. And I'm stoked because we're going to be able to give you guys plenty of time on this throwback topic, which is one of my favorites we've ever had.
Yes.
But the Ruby Soho match, which I thought was solid enough.
Yeah.
The promo after was the most important part. What were your thoughts on the promo after? I got to get your opinion on this, Anthony.
Yeah, I've always liked Ruby. I think Ruby's one of those ones that gets underrated in a lot of ways in promotions because of the way she looks. She's not the glamour girl. She's not somebody that, she's tatted up. She's genuine. So her cutting that promo, I loved it. I really want them to do more with her. And I'm just afraid because the stable is their version of the women's NWO type deal, but it's not really landing. And I'm afraid that Ruby's going to, once this thing ends, what happens to Ruby? Because right now they're pushing Toni Storm. Soraya's there. Ruby's kind of like the odd one out of the group. She's the only one that's not held a major women's championship in wrestling. She hasn't. Saraya and Toni Storm have both held, they've held gold in WWE. Toni has held it in AEW. Saraya is probably eventually going to hold something in AEW, likely. I really would like to see Ruby hold one, whether it's the TBS. So she needs to hold one at some point. I love the promo because it was real and it was genuine. And, saying, a calling back to Britt Baker, saying, the previous promo that Britt cut her on her when she was first coming in. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. More so, the match was decent, but to me, the promo was the bigger deal.
I totally agree. And I think Ruby's so dang underrated on the mic. She's so good on the mic. Mm-hmm. And I would also agree with, and you didn't exactly specifically say this, but I feel like she's the only one in the Outcast that's truly been hurt by it.
Oh yeah.
Her standing in the women's division in AEW was always like, oh, and then they've got Ruby Soho, like in a good way though. In that way where you're like, wait a minute, don't forget about Ruby Soho because they got to give her more opportunities.
When she
it felt like she got
deal.
tucked behind Toni Storm and behind. I was there. It was awesome. The crowd went ballistic. But she got kind of stuck behind Saraya and Toni Storm. And fair or not, last night, I think her mic work proved, she needs some more time.
Well, remember, she was the runner-up,
right?
The first TBS champion,
right?
And really, that's who I thought who should have won it back then, because I felt like Ruby deserved this. They promoted her as a big deal, and mentally, I don't know. You've been in the business as long as you have, and you see somebody, and this is nothing against Jade.
Right.
But she has been there. She's been in wrestling for a cup of coffee, and she gets this spot, and you don't.
I mean, you don't get a lot of Jades, though. I will say that.
No. But I'm just saying, and it's not a shot against Jade, but like, you've worked so hard, but again, you're getting passed over again for somebody that doesn't have much experience, but has looks.
100%. 100%. I hear you. Let's move along to our last segment before Throwback. Darby Allin and It's Sting versus the Painmaker, Chris Jericho, and Sammy Guevara. So not Lay Sex Gods. This is just the Painmaker version. And it's funny, before I toss it to you, I have seen a lot of hate for the Painmaker gimmick. I've always dug it. Who cares? Every Painmaker match in New Japan was electric. It was awesome. And when he brings it back, it's cool. When he brought it back for Nick Gage, it made sense.
Yeah.
Say what you will about that match. That's not my taste, but to execute that on TV is not easy. Yeah. I like the Painmaker gimmick. And if anybody is going to end the streak, Sting. Talk about gimmicks, and it's Sting. Sting is still Sting and always will be Sting. Yeah. And he was Sting last night, and Darby was Darby, and Sammy was Sammy. I enjoyed the match, and I am going to enjoy the follow-up. Whatever it is, Sting and Jericho, if that is the retirement match at Allin one-on-one, sign me up. But I want to hear your thoughts all around.
I'm not. Did they explain why he went to Painmaker? Like, did they, or did he just decide to go Painmaker?
I think for Sting is kind of the way that he explained it was like, because he crashed the press conference. So they did like it's actually a great clip if you haven't seen it. He pulls up, Jericho runs up as Sting is doing the press conference, and he goes, "You want more time with me? You need more time with me? You keep saying you need more time with me? Well, you're not even going to get Chris Jericho on Wednesday. You're getting the Painmaker, and you can have as much time as you want in the main event." And it was a really well-delivered line. I wish they'd have replayed it pre-match.
Yeah, see, that's one of the things that drives me nuts, where things happen, whether it's on YouTube or whatever. AEW does not do a great job of relaying stuff that's happened outside off of the main show, because not everybody's seeing the stuff off the main show. I mean, WWE makes that mistake too, but I think they're better at least.
Oh, see, I would say that WWE does the best in the world at catching you up.
Yes.
But what I would say that's a problem with it is it at times can feel like they're too spoon feeding you.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. AEW has not struck a balance because they're the opposite.
Yes.
Right? You don't get enough. It was hilarious. Like watching Forbidden Door. I forget which match it was. No, I don't forget. I'm sorry. Omega Ospreay. The main one that we all talked about.
Yes.
They play that promo video and we're all like, oh my God, that video is amazing. Like, I didn't know AEW had that in them. And it's like, do that more often.
Yeah.
Like, it was as good as any WWE, right? Like, we were all like gassed up for the entrances.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I think most fans recognize this. No matter what complaints you have against WWE, their production videos are untouched.
Unbelievable.
And they've always been that way. They've always been, at least as far back as I can remember, like they have nailed those promo packages. But anyway, as far as this match, I don't fully get what they're doing with Jericho and Sammy. Like, if there's heat, but there's not heat, so they keep teaming together every week. I'm not sure where they're going with that. I cringed watching Sting go, I want to jump off the ladder, because I could clearly see watching from home going, he ain't going to make it. That's too far away. And I think he did cut a promo after the show. I didn't watch the video, but I saw some caption and he said he was injured or something. I don't know if he bruised his ribs or was actually
getting hurt.
But I'm just saying, like, at this point, his age, I necessarily wouldn't be jumping off a ladder all that distance away. If Darby wants to do something crazy like that, let him, because he's done
Darby
it before.
It up, yeah.
To me, the table was too far away. And even if the plan was Sting was going to jump off of it, to me, just like Flair's last match, when he was clearly out of it, you call an audible, go, no, dude, you're not going to make that.
The adult in me totally agrees with you. The little stinger in me is like, let him fly. But that's not the point. I was a big little stinger, for lack of a better way to put it. A big little stinger. I had the plastic mask, the whole nine. It was awesome. But yeah, I'm excited to see where they go from here. And I enjoyed the whole thing anyway. And the idea of Jericho Sting is kind of perfect. And the bats.
Oh, yeah. That was the other thing, too. The one thing I wasn't fully sure of, Jericho started with a bat, Sting didn't. And then Jericho hit him with the bat. And I'm going, okay, logic, like, was that intentional, or did Sting forget the spot that they were supposed to do the bats?
I get that.
That was my only thought. But,
either way, let's finally get into it.
Yes.
One of my favorite throwback topics we've done in ages.
Uh-huh.
Mankind Undertaker.
Yep.
Hell in a Cell.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say something maybe a little crazy here. I think it's the best non-main event in WWE history.
Okay.
Not best, but the most memorable at the very least. Non-main event in the history of WWE.
Yes.
It's not even that long of a match.
No, it's not.
This is funny too. And before we fully get into it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of shout out Ignacio, good friend of ours, but he often talks about flip, flop, and fly, and he wants classic wrestling and holds and whatnot. We had 6'10" Undertaker and 6'4" Mick Foley. And it was 90% flip flop and we didn't see a headlock takeover. We didn't see a lockup. We didn't see anything. This was art, though, in its own way. It's almost unique to any other match you can talk about. It's like it's a match, but it's not a match.
It's a car crash.
It's a I don't know. It's like a scene out of a movie. It's one of the few things media-wise, content-wise, I've ever consumed in my lifetime that almost gets gnarlier every watch. Because you pick up the idea of him trying to start to climb with the chair makes no sense. Undertaker has a broken ankle. The roof of the cell is supported by zip ties. So they go back up.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna get there. The reason we're covering this match, for anybody that's under a rock, this is the 25th anniversary of that match. Coincidentally, I've been watching wrestling 2 months longer than that match happened. I was only watching wrestling for about 2 months when this match happened. And I remember watching this at my grandmother's house, who had a box with the chip in it. So I was able to watch King of the Ring 98. And I remember watching it going, I don't get what I'm watching. Like, I know it's predetermined. Like, again, I'm still I'm naive, but not naive enough. I know it's predetermined, but like, I'm going, how are they doing this? You don't understand it. And then obviously you go, oh no, they're not faking gravity. This is all happening. And looking back, even all the matches I've seen, over the past 25 years, plus the old stuff that I've seen, on the network, DVDs, whatever, it is still the most insane match I think I've ever watched. And if it's on, I'm watching it because it's so iconic. It is the match that defined both men's careers. That match is, if there's only one match that outlives them both, it's that match. And it is the match that propelled Foley to a WWF championship. Foley would have probably never been WWF champion. Literally, this match happens in June of 98. By January 1999, he wins his first WWF championship. And, this shortened Foley's career. Taker went into it with a broken ankle or broken foot, whatever it was. The fact that they went up there, the fact that Foley went up there, even after, and I'm not talking about him getting thrown off because that was the plan. The plan was for him to get thrown off. But while they were climbing up there, you literally heard pops with the zip ties. I would not have gone back up there. But when Foley went back up there and Taker chokeslammed him and he went through, that was not planned. I give it to Terry Funk. Terry Funk was ad-libbing. I don't know if you watched it, Clark. WWE posted something this week. It's Taker and Mick Foley rewatching the Hell in a Cell match.
Oh, that's amazing.
Giving their thoughts on the match. And Taker apparently said to Terry Funk, see if he's alive.
Oh, yeah, no.
And Terry checked, and he goes, he's still alive. And then to buy Mick time, Terry gets his butt kicked by Taker.
Yep.
So to buy time. And Taker said, he goes, I kept telling Mick, let's go home. And Mick's like, no, we got to do the tax.
So that's my favorite story I've ever heard is,
yeah.
I believe they mention it in the Untold. He goes back, and I can't remember if it's Bruce Pritchard or Vince he looks at, and he's got, 100 thumbtacks stuck on his back.
It's the doctor. It's the doctor. Did I ever use the tax?
No. He goes, sorry, we missed the tax spot. Is the line that I heard. I heard he said, sorry, we missed the tax spot.
Well, the version that I had heard previously was he was in the back getting checked by the doctors, and he goes, did I ever
mentioned, though, by the way, the gnarliest part of the whole thing? His tooth went not this way into his nose. It went like you got the pipings with your nostrils and then your esophagus. Yeah. It went the wrong way and then out his nut.
Speaking of that, thank you. Since we're talking about this, it'll eventually be on an episode of Salt Separately. They're releasing a defining moments Mankind from this match. I have not received it yet. I have it pre-ordered. But it does have the tooth through the nose, the smiling face. I mean, that visual of him, like he's like, I wasn't smiling, but like that's how it's so sadistic looking.
He was.
I mean, it's so sadistic looking, and everyone people thought it was a booger out of his nose.
Let's not forget too, with the snapping ties and the choke slam through the top of the cage, the chair comes down on top of Mick.
Yes.
But if Taker isn't standing on the beam, and he goes down with him with that broken ankle, even the fact that he was able to climb down and land on the one leg. But if he's, that's catastrophic.
Oh yeah.
It's a once in a lifetime. We'll never see it again. No way. Even all the times, yes, we have seen similar spots since off the cell, around the cell. All of those spots have been absolutely, I'll never forget watching it live with my parents and not being savvy to the business at the time, thinking everything's real. And I can't remember if it was my mom or my dad, but one of the two said, no, there's a crash pad. Like when he initially hit the table first, like, oh no. when he went through the cell, I'll never forget my mom just covered her mouth and did not say a word.
Yeah. Now
it was like
there's a couple things, interesting things. When he got thrown off the cell, one of the things Mick said during this the sit down with him and Taker, which I did not know, he said really no one was smartened up, including the announcer at the table that Foley was getting thrown down at. Like, he just happened to move at the right time.
Yeah.
There's no way that guy wasn't clued in. I mean, I can't imagine that. But one of the things, obviously the announcers during this match, but there's one call.
Jim Ross, I think it's arguably his greatest call.
Him and King for that. But there's one moment after Mick goes off and they raise the cell. And Taker standing on the top, and literally he's eye to eye with like a WWF banner because he's in the rafters at this point on there. And JR calls him. He goes, "There's the conscience of the WWF standing on top of the cell," because Taker's always been the guy. Taker's always been the foundation of the company. The entire time he was there the entire time.
Yeah.
So I just remember that line, him calling him the conscience of the WWF, and just the things that were said, like JR going, "That's it. God is my witness. He's broken in half." And Jerry Lawler, when he got thrown through, I mean, there's no way that was a plan.
He killed him. He's dead.
No, that's it. He's dead. Like, it was just so matter of fact. And that, those two sound bites, he's broken in half. That's it. He's dead. They've been replayed over and over again with sports highlights. They are synonymous. I remember, and you'll appreciate this, Clark. I believe I was in 7th grade at the time. There was a school project that I could focus on anything and talk about whatever I wanted. And for whatever reason, I decided to cover Mick Foley. So I bring in the tape of the Hell in a Cell to show the class.
Outstanding.
And really, I figure I only have a couple minutes. I got to show the part where, he gets thrown off. Now, the guys in the class, a bunch of them are wrestling fans, so they're all into it. They wanted to see the rest. So I'm like, it's a Catholic grade school. I don't know how this is going to go, but okay, if you want to see the tax and everything else.
Here we go.
But I still remember to this day showing that match. And the people that were not wrestling fans were going, wait, are they? No, there's no doing. Yeah.
Okay. So, also, before we finish up here, because we only got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
We can't go without mentioning the main event was a first blood match.
Yes.
Kane versus Steve Austin. Kane's not going to bleed with the mask.
No.
Mick does a run in.
Mick does the run in. Mick does the jogging out, and Taker does too on the bad ankle. The two of them. They said the worst. Now, do you remember the stipulation to that first blood match?
No.
Okay. It was first blood for the WWF Championship. Kane said with the voice box thing, if he didn't win, he was going to set himself on fire.
That's right.
That is why Taker came out and hit Austin, because even though he had his feud with his brother, he wasn't going to let his brother set himself on fire.
That's right. That's where the seeds were planted for the Brothers of Destruction.
Correct.
Hello. Mm-hmm. Wow. Talk about a little history lesson there. That is. I didn't even remember that part of it. I forgot about the set himself on fire, and the voice box was hysterical. I mean,
I do have the Ultimate Edition Kane figure. I know this is blading in the soul at this point. Came with the cape that he only wore once and never wore on TV, but it did come with the voice box thing.
Oh, Kane is arguably as fascinating as Undertaker to be.
He was supposed to be a one-off. Like, he was supposed to just be,
just that run.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, it's been an awesome Throwback Thursday. I love talking about Taker and Mankind. Could talk about it for hours.
Yeah.
Can't wait till we do another one where it's Taker and Shawn, my personal favorite Hell in a Cell. But that's just me.
There's also the I Quit match with Mankind and Rock is coming up in January.
Well, that one is going to be awesome because, as you know, I remember because I was there.
I know.
But with that, if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, please do. It helps us out a ton. Wrestling Republic. If you're on Spotify, a 5-star review would be awesome. And other than that, we will see you guys tomorrow at 8 in the UK, 5 Eastern. Wait, no, not 5 Eastern. That's a lie.
It's 3, isn't it?
3 Eastern, noon Pacific, 9 Hawaiian Elysian. And then
I think I'm on that one.
We'll see you on Saturday. Yeah. You'll be back.
Yeah, I'm on that one on Sunday. Yeah.
And we're out.
Yep.